What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Learned Alpha Podcast. I'm Van.
I'm Derek.
And we'd like to welcome Mr. Jered Graham to the podcast.
Nice to be here.
Awesome.
Well, man, so Jered, you're a dad, you're a husband, you're soon to be husband.
That's right. That's right.
You live on a boat. You got a love for animals. Tell us what made you who you are. Who are you? Who's Jered?
Man, I grew up in Pascagoula. Man, it's kind of a long story. Man, I had the rich side of the family, and I had my dad was the poor side of the family, and so I had to see both sides, and I knew which way I didn't want to go. I had a real tough childhood. Growing up, whenever I was about, I was 16. My little brother was 14. He shot himself with a shotgun, and that changed my life. My dad got into drugs. My mom got into drinking, and by the time I was 17, I was on my own, and I've been on my own ever since.
Is that what kind of led you to be a firefighter, or did you do that later on?
Whenever I turned 17, I was out on my own. I started my business grass cutting with a buddy of mine over in Pascagoula, and I'm still into that today. I'm separated from him, but that got me into that. He was a fireman, and I was like, man, this would be great. I could still do my business, and so I got into that.
So usually it's the other way around. It's the stereotype of fireman's got a grass cutting business. It's usually they start out firefighting and realize, hey man, I need to make a little bit more money, and then they do that. But you did it the other way around, huh?
Yeah, I did the other way around. I have any skills or anything at 17, and everybody don't have the same opportunities to go to school. I had to quit school. I had to do what I had to do, because I wasn't going to sit there with my dad going down a spiral. And I knew that wasn't life for me.
So you had to man up real quick.
I had to do what I had to do.
And that kind of forced you at a young age to be the man your dad should have been in your eyes, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't want to be like my dad or my mom. I pretty much raised myself. I was running away when I was 12 years old. I just knew I didn't belong there, and it was tough, but I made it. I just made it happen. You got two hands, and you got to get out there and make it happen.
So you found that out the hard way.
That I would say.
So, I'm sorry. Looking back to those times when you were looking forward in your future, is there anything that you just really wanted to be? Was a fireman in that picture then, or?
Yeah, like I said, whenever I first started out, it wasn't like it is today. You had to look in the newspaper. And then you show up, take the test and everything, and y'all know how that goes. Back then they were showing up with 30, 40 people there, and I actually didn't get hired. I got hired with Jackson County Fire District whenever I was I think I was 26. So I went a long ways. I had to do what I had to do, and I ended up having my son when I was 24, and. And I'm still going today.
And that pushed you when you had your son to want to be a firefighter even more, to have more of that stability.
Well, it's like, whenever I know you guys understand. Some guys don't. It's to me that was my responsibility. That was mine, and everything that I wanted to be there for every minute of it. And that's how I've always rolled with him.
That's good, man.
So that's the example that you wanted to set for him. Mm-hmm. And I talk to a lot of people about this. You kind of hit on it a little bit. Firefighting, police work, that kind of stuff is not the highest paying job, but I tell you, the benefits are good for a family, and the retirement's there. It's pretty stable, and it's a good thing to do whenever you got a little one, and that's all you know how to do.
Yeah. So when your son was born, so you basically had about 2 years after he was born before you got hired?
I got hired, yeah, and he he always wanted to be like me, of course, and everything like that. And he eventually became one himself. Actually, I'm very proud of the point that I was on the union board with our union, and I pushed to lower the age to 18, higher an age to 18 at our department. And he missed his senior trip to take our physical test, so he got hired before he even walked the stage to get his diploma.
That's awesome.
And I told him, I said, I bet you nobody else out there of all these people in Ocean Springs is living their dream, got a career like you do. You better retire 30 years when you're 48 and they'll still be working.
That's right.
To me, that's proof that from what you grew up in with your mom and dad being in drugs and alcohol, and you not wanting any part of that and forcing yourself to man up and start the lawn business and be a firefighter, that tells me that your success was not just a success for you, but it was also a success for your son because he's following your footsteps. That tells me as a man that your son appreciates everything that you did, and he wants to be like you, not the other way around like it was for you. Mm. And so, that's one of the learned things we talk about, is life is going to be tough. Life's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy in any way, shape, or form for anybody, whether you're a man or a woman. It just depends on how you handle situations that makes you either successful or not successful. And I think you're a great example of that,
Appreciate that.
For sure, for sure. So you started out being a fireman, and was it everything it was cracked up to be right away, or when did you realize, hey, this might not be for me, or this is for me?
Well, you go out there and you think, it's gonna be fun and everything, and going through the academy and everything. Back whenever I went, they tried to kill you. If you didn't really want this job, I assure you would quit. So that was very tough. I'm not a guy that's really into the following, or everybody else never have been. Probably if the group goes one way, I'm probably going to go the other. That's the way I've always been. And I didn't really fit in with some of the little cliques and stuff, which is fine with me. I was there to do a job. You get some of these bad calls, dead babies, wrecks, and then people getting their house burned down and don't have insurance, losing everything they got. Now, one of the toughest ones, I don't know why it bothered me so much after all that, was we had a guy that his house burned. It wasn't that bad of a fire. We knocked it out, and his dog died in there, and we got him out and tried to resuscitate him, but he was gone, and the man was bawling his eyes out, and I was over there. I had to step around the corner myself.
Well, that's because dogs are cool, man.
Yeah.
Dogs are better than people.
Sometimes, yeah. It's really changed a lot over the years. My perception of it's really changed. And in some unfortunate ways, as a matter of fact, the way things are going, I can't wait to see retirement.
Yeah.
Did you have one experience very early on that you, like, the light shone down and you were like, man, this is what I was meant to do? Like a really good experience?
Like saving somebody, or
yeah, I've had quite a few of those. I remember one of my first ones. Is one of the common things we do is go to a seizure call. Really, you can't really do much for them. Really, if you get the people around them to calm down more than anything, because they're freaking out.
Right.
They don't know what's going on. They hear you swallowing your tongue and all these myths. But anyways, we had a seizure guy, and I pull up. I'm like, run-of-the-mill thing, no big deal. Well, he died, and we're over there. We worked him and got him back. So
that's great.
yeah. So that was one of the first ones I remember getting back. I was like, that, and then from there on, I don't know how many, over the years.
So when that training paid off and you were able to get him back, you had your little moment off to the side, and you're like, yes, this is
that's right. That's the good stuff. It's like my son. I told him, I said, man, whenever you get a CPR call, most time you're not gonna get them back, and his first, I think, I want to say 3 or 4 ones he did, got them all back. And I'm like, man, I said, I was like,
Proved you wrong.
yeah, I was like, well, that's great. I was like, and I was like, well, I just know that time's coming. And, being we do kind of do the same thing, seeing, dead people in houses, been there for a week, and,
Yeah, that's always the tough stuff, man. Breaking rigor mortis and helping the coroner out. And,
or worse.
yeah, it's
I learned the trick. I called the fire department to get that air pack put on.
Yeah.
And
My hat's off to some of these coroner guys. We're looking through the window on some of them, and y'all can have it.
yeah, that's not that's never been a fun part of either of our jobs, ever. I mean, life is so short, and then you're faced with it both in the fire department and law enforcement on a regular basis, right? And something I always think about is, law enforcement and firefighters, we have a kind of different sense of humor when we're together than when we would with other people, right? Because that's kind of our way of dealing with all the negativity all day long and all the death and, really disappointment in humans and culture and things like that. You see how people treat their own family, you can only imagine how they would treat somebody else,
Right.
And we just have a different sense of humor about us.
Right.
And when other people hear us talk or see us together in a group, they're like, what? But they don't, like I said, they don't see how many times we went to somebody's house and had to help the coroner break, rigor mortis to get him in a body bag, and, how we had to, see somebody's kid who had, whatever. It's those things never leave us,
And for instance, your kinfolk Sid, he did it for a while, and that guy was awesome. The stuff really bothered him.
Yeah.
I could see it in his eyes, and when we went on calls, you after a while you see it, and it just wasn't for him, and he's and now he's doing great, but it's just not for everybody. Some people don't find that out for a while, and they just try to tough it up, but
it's a heavy weight to carry around with you.
Yeah.
I've been out of law enforcement for 5 years now, and I still have my moments, And I told Derek a while back, it's been a couple of weeks, and I was like, dude, I was watching American Idol, and I just started crying. I have no idea why. He's like, man, it's one of those things where you keep that stuff deep down inside, and then a certain thing will happen, and it'll just make you, have that emotional moment at that time. And I think that goes back to me talking about us having a different sense of humor. That's just our way we deal with that type of thing. And we kind of push it off to the side until we're by ourselves or we're watching American Idol, and then it hits you. How do you deal with it?
Man, I certainly, I didn't want to admit it, but I got PTSD. My ex-wife it was really bothering her. I didn't want to admit it. I get flashbacks daily. No matter what I'm doing, it's just, I finally went to somebody and talked to them, and it's tough. But it is what it is.
Yep. We always say we have to man up, right? But yes, we do man up, but it still affects us,
Yep.
And we all deal with it in different ways. And, I'm not on any kind of medication. I've never been on any kind of pharmaceuticals or anything like that. I don't deal with it that way. I just try and offset all those negative things with all the positive things that I was a part of, and that's what's kind of helped me personally deal with those types of situations. I'm sure Derek, being a Marine and being in law enforcement, he's seen way more than me, and that's a heavy load to live with,
Yeah. I went and talked to the doctor I went and talked to, and I was dealing with, within a 12-month period, I dealt with my mama dying, my daddy dying, and going through a terrible divorce. And I went and got, against my better judgment, went and got on the medicine for a little while, and I wish I would have never done that, because before, when I went in there, I'd just be able to deal with things, and it changed my way of thinking. And that doctor, he told me, he goes, man, you've definitely been through a lot of stuff. He's like, but it's just like another day to you. And he said, some people just, like we've been on calls, I'm sure both of y'all have, and you hear these people's problems, and you're like, that's it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, man, wow, if that's, you're going to, like they're wanting to kill themselves over, their mama taking away their cell phone or something like that. I'm like, wow.
Well, we've talked about that before, and it goes back to perspective, and I went to a training class recently where we were talking about dealing with suicidal people and talking them down and all that kind of stuff. And the first thing you have to understand is that, that person is looking through their lens of understanding, their perspective. And you're looking through yours, and you have years of experience. You've been through a bunch of ups and downs, and you've survived all of them. And you know that if this person just, takes it easy, takes a break, get them a good night's sleep, that tomorrow's might be a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But they don't have that perspective.
Yep.
And there's a way that I've been watching you deal with your stress for years, long before you talked to the doctor, and we haven't discussed that yet, and that's the gym. Right,
Jim and Jesus, man. Jim and Jesus. Yeah, I mean, I've dealt with a lot of stuff. That's just my therapy, and that's how I got through a lot of stuff, man. That's just my thing.
Well, that speaks a lot to you, because a lot of people go to the bottle, and so
I've seen where that leads, and that's not the road I want to go down.
So the gym has helped you out a lot, hasn't it?
Certainly. Oh yeah, yeah. I knew I've never even smoked a cigarette. I wish
I could say that.
Well, I just never. I've seen what cancer can do. I've had 6 family members die from cigarettes. It's like I ain't going on that road, and I was like, I always felt like I don't need a drug or some kind of thing like that to get me through this. Man, when like that doctor said, it made a lot of sense. I've just dealt with stuff, and it's just, and I found that's another outlet for me, going to the gym, and of course Jesus, get through stuff.
Yeah. Well, in that same course, we talked about how the science of dealing with stress and the gym. And they said that 30 minutes of vigorous exercise, it doesn't necessarily have to be sprinting or anything like that, deals with all the cortisol and all those things that are happening in your body that come from the stress. And a lot of people don't even realize they're doing it. They'll post stuff on Facebook that says that the gym is my therapy and stuff like that, but they just don't realize how correct they actually are.
I believe it. I've never heard that part right there, but yeah, I believe it. I tell people that's going through. So I try to be there for them. I've always wanted to be that person that not just talks about it, but if somebody's going through something, I reached out to you before, and sometimes nobody does. Sometimes you're the only one, and I've been there where there's nobody. I didn't tell nobody, and I really did need somebody.
Yeah.
So I've always said, if I know somebody's going through a tough time, I'm going to reach out and do what I can do.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you need help, get help. I said this a couple podcasts ago. Don't ever not answer that text or that phone call from somebody who's having a tough time.
Absolutely.
You may not talk to them again.
You might not. That's right.
And not only that, but like when you talk to them, be understanding of the situation that they're in. No matter what you've been through in your life, whatever they're going through may be like the end of the world in their eyes, and you kind of have to see it that way. So when you speak to them, make sure you approach them with that same kind of mentality that whatever you want to tell me, and I'm here for you. And there's no reason to make your situation worse, and you just have to step up and be that person.
As a matter of fact, I had a friend of mine I grew up with. We destroyed Pascagoula back when we were kids, man. You lose touch over the years, and we're still friends on Facebook where his mama died. And I said, I knew his mama. She chased us all over Pascagoula and beating up people and, all this other stuff. And so it was over in Grand Bay. I was on duty. I got my son to come stand by for me while I went over there to her her service, and I was only buddy his there, you know, and I was like, that's sad. It really is sad.
Yeah, well, you know, I go so, you know, some people get too big for their britches, you know, and they feel like, well, even though this lady probably, like you said, helped raise you, helped you out, took you in from situations that you probably shouldn't have been in, you know, but, you know, that's another good example of you as a man doing the right thing. And that's why we do this podcast, is because we want younger guys to hear this. You know, you have two choices. You can either go with good or you can go with evil. And you just letting go of a memory with somebody's mom and just kind of shunning it and just not paying any attention and not thinking about all the things that person did for you when you were younger, and then paying that respect. You know, obviously you want to go with good because your son's watching you do that.
That's right.
And his son's going to watch his moral behaviors based off of what he learned from you, you know, and you just got to set that example. And it might not be easy, and you might have had other things going on, but you made the time to go do that.
Yeah.
And that's important stuff. You know, to some people, it doesn't seem that major or that important, but you have the cognitive mindset to understand of that behavior, you know, and helping. Just being there.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to, is just being there for somebody.
That's right. I mean, whenever you don't have somebody, it's a very big deal. Very big.
I don't know. I put a lot of value on, you know, like my friends that when we were growing up, no matter how old we get, I still think about, you know, me and my best friend with Red Ryder BB guns shooting dragonflies off the clothesline. You know, like I still look at that person in that light, and I think that we probably should, instead of looking at each other like old men. You know, like, don't forget about those times.
Oh man, you know,
cling on to them.
You know, the first time I drank coffee, just straight up black coffee, it was like 4:00 in the morning. My friend Kevin Bosarge, his dad was a shrimper. His mom, you know, was from Back Bay Bullocks, but they lived in Ocean Springs on my street. And I stayed the night. First time I stayed the night at his house, it was like 4:15 in the morning. I started smelling coffee. I was sleeping on the couch, and she walked by. She goes, "Get up, you need some coffee." I was like 12. So I go in the kitchen, and she just pours me a black cup of coffee, and she goes, "Drink that. I'm gonna make you eggs and bacon." I'm like, man, my mom don't make me eggs and bacon at 4:30 in the morning. This is awesome, you know. Yeah. I've been drinking coffee ever since, and that's because of Kevin Bosarge's mom, man.
Wow,
that's awesome.
I drink coffee all day, afternoon, morning. It don't matter.
Yeah,
you know, but that was just part of her daily routine. You know, she had to get up early before her husband went out on the shrimp boat and worked all day. You know, but you know, I look back at memories like that from my youth, and I'm like, that grit, you know, and I appreciate it so much, because kids these days, they don't get that.
No,
they get a tablet and shut your door and don't bother me.
Yep, and they're not appreciative of a lot of things.
We were joking around yesterday on Facebook. It had a meme of an older woman, and she was shelling peas, you know, and she had this big bucket of peas. And
I've seen that one.
My goodness, that brought me so far back. Like, when I was a kid, I'd sit out on my front porch. We had 20 acres, and like 8 of it was a sure enough garden. And we weren't selling the stuff; we were canning it and we were putting it up, you know, because, you know, we weren't by any means poor, but we weren't rich either. And I'd sit out there on that doggone porch with my grandmother, and she'd have her house coat on. She'd be smoking the Marlboro 300s that are about that long, you know, the Virginia Slims or whatever they are.
Them Capris.
Yeah,
and we
was like what you mean.
That's right. And we would shell them Purple Hull peas by the 5-gallon bucket, but she would let me call into the local radio station and request songs that we could listen to on this little one-speaker radio. And I didn't know it then, but those were some of the best times of my life, man.
Yeah.
Looking back on them, amazing.
Yeah, this is like, you know, talking about the grandparents. My grandpa, when he retired, he bought a shrimp boat or fishing, whatever time of year was what he went out and did. And I don't eat shrimp, or, you know, but whenever they got shrimp, I had to go over and peel them, whether I liked it or not.
That's right.
I mean, and, you know, like some of these kids today, you know, I'm not going to do that, and they wouldn't make them do it. But, you know, it didn't kill me. It wasn't going to kill me. Yeah, I did it.
But what you didn't realize when you were younger is you were learning something.
Yeah.
So if you were in that position and you needed to do that,
exactly,
you knew how to do it.
Certainly. And it's like, just because I don't like it, they liked it, and I was helping them out. that's the way I looked at it.
You know, and my dad, he was like that with cutting grass. You know, I have my grandmother's house, our house on the bayou in Ocean Springs, the cemetery, and my other grandmother's house. And so if I wanted to spend time with my dad on Sunday, you know, after church, I had to go cut grass with him, you know, or weed eat or blow, whatever it was. But he was going to do that all day Sunday after church. And if I wanted to spend time with him, I had to go do it. You know, and now people look at me like, dude, you weed eat with that weed eater and with no pants on? Are you crazy? I'm like, dude, I've been doing it for 35 years, bro. It's just another day with a weed eater in my hand. I don't even check up. I can't even feel my shins anymore. You know what I'm
I
saying?
didn't know what safety glasses
No.
Or ear protection, or no. I mean, we had no. When I first started, we had no ear protection, no glasses, no nothing. Wearing shorts, you know, talking about. And
Oh, I had ear protection, but it was a Walkman tape player playing Beastie Boys and NWA.
Louder
you
than
know?
the lawnmower.
Yeah, louder than the
we
lawnmower.
just went 100% ignorant, you know, and now later on, and now I'm paying for my hearing a little bit. Yeah,
What?
that's right. So,
Damn. Well, Derek has a question for you, and it's a pretty good one. So, oh man, I'm gonna let you ask him the question.
So if you were going to give some advice to a new firefighter starting over that's coming from a similar background as you, what would it be?
man, that's tough. Do what you're ordered to do. I mean, and do your work. No matter what your opinion may be, just do it. If you got a problem, you can deal with it later. Man, it's a good career. I mean, you got retirement insurance. Stick with it.
It's a learning curve, just like anything else. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of people don't realize. It's like I don't know if y'all may not even know. I mean, that when you go to that academy, you can take classes the rest of your life. You can take a class a year, and
You'll never stop learning.
I mean, there's all kind of different. I mean, like myself, I've got several certs. I went one way. Like my son Austin, you have to have like rope rescue. I'm ambidextrous, and so the rope thing. May do it one way. It don't work for me, but it worked for him. You have to have that as a prerequisite to get other classes. I went the other way and got like an inspector, instructor, officer, safety officer, things like that.
So there's a pretty big depth of field of what you can do as far as being a firefighter.
Oh yeah,
and what you specialize in.
I just do more of the academic stuff. I'm certified in all that stuff that I just said and more. I can't even begin to think how many certs I've had. I don't know how many hours I've been up there at that academy. It's fun. It's nice to learn. I mean, you can get into like I know hazmat stuff, for instance. It gets way deep off into like chemistry of hazmat. We have a brother. He's ex-Marine, Roy Odom. He just retired back in January. Chemical engineer.
Goodness.
Wow.
He did it, and the Marines paid for it. He did it. Why he did it? He got his degree sitting there at work, and I'm sure he's doing great.
Oh yeah.
So he used the opportunity and the schedule to better himself.
He just is that's what he did, and I think that's great.
I don't think a lot of people understand what a firefighter schedule is. So what's a typical schedule for you for a week?
We work a 24/48, and we get a thing called a Kelly day a month. It's a scheduled off day with our department where if we're short, you can work your Kelly day as overtime, but you're not forced to.
Right.
You can take it.
Do you take yours?
If I don't have nothing to do, I'll work it, but I take it most of the time. Yeah, I do. I mean, we choose what day during the month by seniority, what day you want.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've been doing it long enough, you don't have to struggle anymore.
No, I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I still got to struggle. I mean, I don't want to be I'm a captain. We have the next step above me is a battalion chief, BC. I don't have any. We just promoted a guy he's been there, I don't know, 8 years less than me. Which I was honored to have some guys that are like, Graham, you need to do it. I'd love to have you as my BC. And I feel like I'm where I belong.
Right, and that's important.
Right, and I noticed I still like being able to go in. I like being able to. I'm more hands on, and that job just it isn't for me. Like for instance, like some people believe that you want to be the chief one day. You couldn't give me that job.
Right. Yeah,
I've always said it's cool to be number 2.
Yeah.
But number 1 has to deal with all the nonsense.
One of the things that I think is great I would say most of the guys there, they might be a higher rank, but they still respect where they know, and Graham, I'm listening to him. They come to me, and we work together for the most part.
They respect that street knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, and you should. I mean, I respected my guys. And I see where they're at.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of FTOing somebody that ended up as a chief of police, and while they went a different route with their career, I don't feel any less because I didn't do that. I'm very proud of them.
Yep.
And it's important to know when you've reached where you want to be. I think that's a good point you made.
Yeah, well, like I said, I raised our chief. I mean, I remember his first day. He worked with me. I mean, he learned from me. Hey, my hat's off to him. That's what he wants to do.
Awesome. That just speaks to like you having the ability to foster leadership.
and like your role of what you like to do is help the younger guys or guys that are getting into it, make sure they go down the right path. Because the sheep, they need a shepherd. And some people, the shepherd is more important than the landowner. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's what keeps them safe.
Yeah, I'm there to make a difference. I mean, and sometimes, in order to make a difference, you're going to make waves, and everybody's not going to like it. But I'm not there to play. I mean, some of the guys don't like working with me. Some guys do. But there again, I live by it. Is what it is. It is what it is, man. We're not here to play. I'm not here to play.
Yeah, I saw a thing the other day, and it says people who say it is what it is are the people that are the people you do not want to mess with.
I'm quite fond of saying that. So.
Well, the thing is you've come to terms with that you can only change yourself, and the other things you can't change. Nope. It is what it is.
Learning how to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
There you go.
That's a skill in and of its own.
Yep, that's a good one.
And I was going to ask you, one of the questions I was going to ask you that I had kind of thought about before we came here is like, what gets you through hard times, on the job and stuff like that. And I think you kind of spoke to it, and I'm not putting words in your mouth. Tell me if I'm wrong, but like knowing what the reason you're there for is like you're here to make a difference. You're here to do the job.
That's right.
Being morally dedicated to it.
Yeah. Yeah, when I put that uniform on, I flip a switch. I'm not there to play.
So now that you've made it this far in the career and you're starting to see the sunset towards the end there, what are you looking forward to later in life, man?
I mean, just expanding my business a little bit, and from what I understand from guys that's retired, after a few months, they said I've had several of them say the same thing. After a few months, that you don't realize the stress level that you're under until you get away from it. And so you've got the same stress level on you as a rookie, as you were when you were a rookie. And I'm looking forward to that. So I'm planning on doing that. Right. Me and my ladies talking about getting off the boat and moving into our rental house, but now it's I don't know about all that. So we're
kind of torn now.
Yeah, it's getting nice and everything, and you've been out there. There's nothing like sitting upstairs and being
watching that sunset,
watching the sunset, and cussing people when they're going by no wake zone and stuff like that. So, you know,
Get off my lawn.
it's kind of like that. You're right.
Yeah, but like you got to understand, his boat is all the way at the end of the dock. You have the break wall at the marina, and the channel's outside of that. Well, that marker that's out there in that channel, that's where people are supposed to slow down in no wake zone.
Right.
Well,
It's 100 feet out. Yeah.
A good distance. Yeah.
and my wife and I and daughter went over the other night when he was at work, and we were with Elaine, and we were watching the drone show over the Beau Rivage. And there must have been 40 boats going by at 100 miles an hour, you know, and it's just disrespectful. Can you imagine if someone drove 100 miles an hour and your speed limit was 25 on your road?
It ain't just that, and it rocks your house.
Yeah, and it rocks your house.
I
And your
mean,
dog was
I'm
like
sure
this.
alcohol wasn't involved. at
Tigger
all.
was like this.
A lot of them are on Daddy's boat, and
Yeah.
Daddy's not gonna do nothing about it. And they, you know, a lot of them can't even spell boat. To be honest with you, I mean,
Yeah.
the rule of the law is 100 feet from the wall, and you know, that's something that just it's ignorance is what it is. I mean, you don't know, and you just do whatever you think.
Right.
Don't realize what you're doing. I mean, a lot of times if you get rip off a cleat on my boat, you know, it's not cheap.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a
just
lot
if
to
it
it.
falls off in the water, that cleat by itself is $100.
Yeah. So, and sometimes I've seen on Facebook that you take your home out to Horn Island and stuff.
Yeah, we do. We have a fair amount of booze cruises.
What's the furthest you've taken your boat?
I bought it in Orange Beach, and when I first bought it, I mean,
How
what was
big?
that?
How big is it?
It's 50 feet.
Yeah.
And I had never owned a 50-foot yacht. Biggest thing I owned, I had a 24-foot boat, and that, you know, gave the guy the money. No,
It's more than double.
No, we don't have. I don't have any bow thrusters or aft thrusters. I mean, I bought this boat. It was sitting in the yard at a boat yard when I bought it, and of course I tested it out and everything, but I had never even driven it myself. And so I get back from Orange Beach to Biloxi.
That was interesting.
An adventure. Is it?
It's an adventure, yeah. It was an adventure. I didn't realize the time frame it was going to take. This ain't no speedboat. It's a coastal cruiser. It's not made for speed. It's made for cruising. I mean, you don't want to go flying, hair flying back in a boat like that. And
Is it twin screws?
yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I had me and my stepson and a buddy of mine, and we had we brought a couple of drinks with us and a couple of beers, and this is like man, it was 100 degrees outside, and we're not even past Dolphin Island. We're out of drink,
Everything.
out of everything, and I had tank water.
I'm out of beer.
Yeah, nothing. We had, and I'm sitting there thirsting to death. The tank water, the boat been sitting up for a year, and the tank water was nasty. So I'm sitting there about to drink it, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I mean, we made it back, man, and just you learn with a boat like that. It's not like having a little boat. You learn about if it's blowing 15 miles an hour or more, don't go.
No. No, because most people don't realize is the height of a boat catches the wind more like a sail, and even if you're in the marina backing in or out or turning around, it could be dangerous pretty quick. I used to have a Carver. I had a 36 Carver, and it was a high side boat too. And man,
I like those. Yeah.
That thing would push you around in a 10-knot wind.
Yep. I learned the hard way. I had a grill on the side of that boat. I had it hanging off the side, and I caught a pole, and no more grill.
Yeah. R.I.P.
At least you didn't
But
get on fire.
So, well, that or hit somebody else's. I was right next to another guy. He was a lawyer, as a matter of fact, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to end up hitting his boat, and I mean,
It's sketchy.
it's sketchy, yeah, but learn as you go, and I can pretty well handle it now. I know in a boat like that, of course you can't handle it. You have to have at least one more deckhand that knows what they're doing.
Right.
Preferably two.
Yeah.
So talk to us about the decision you made to buy that. Like, did you just wake up one day and say, dude, I'm going to live on a boat? Or is this something
I'm
you've
on
been
a
toying-
boat.
Yeah, well,
toying around for years?
I always, always said, I'll never think I'd ever be able to afford anything like that, I I actually bought it to make money off of and to learn from it. My dream was to be, go down to the Caribbean when I retire, things like that. I was like, well, I'm gonna get the best of both worlds. I'm gonna Airbnb it out and rent it out, take people out on it, stuff like that. And I started putting some, furniture and things like that in there, and we started staying there on the weekends, and say, I kind of like this. This is nice, and
No yard to mow.
yeah, no yard. I was like, yeah, I mean, but it has other stuff that's just probably worse, as a matter of fact. And I'm like, I'm sitting there like, man. And then I got started advertising, got a lot of hits. Had 3 deposits. I was like, this is gonna be great, and should be, I was hoping to be bringing in about $3 or $4 grand a month. It's like, I like money and everything, so I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be great. And then I got a letter from the city. The city owns all those marinas out there, saying that you can't do that. And so I was like, you know what, that made my decision. So I've been there for 5 years now.
Yeah, there's people don't realize, but that white noise from the sailboats off in the distance, just ding, 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 the seagulls, and
luckily I don't have any sailboats by me. I know exactly what you mean, and that, or when thunderstorms come up.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to be nowhere near the mast of those things. But yeah, in the wintertime when it's real quiet, and you can hear it.
Yeah.
And it's, for somebody who's OCD like me, you may not even hear it, but I can hear it.
I'll never forget the first time we stayed, because our boat stayed over by McElroy's when we had it. And, a lot of charter boat captains in the 28 to 35 or 36 foot boats are all there, And, man, about 4:30, 5 o'clock, blah, 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 all those diesel motors would start firing off, and you'd be like, what in the world? What's going on? But just sitting out there, enjoying that, evening sea breeze, listening to the traffic in the background and the birds still at night flying around. It really is peaceful, and it's a good way to decompress.
That's where I'm at. It's like, if I do end up selling it, I don't see myself going into no one, especially with the way things are today. I lucked out on buying that one. If I want to go buy another boat, I'm looking at, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, all day, every day, and is to get something nice. So, I wouldn't want to do that when I got everything paid for. I'm debt free.
Yeah, it looks good too. I like that. I like how y'all did the cork stuff on the wall and the kitchen and the wood and the bedroom stuff.
That's my lady, and she did all that. I'd say if it had been me, I would have hired somebody in a minute to do that. I despise carpentry work. I despise it.
She did a really good job.
She did great. I'll be honest with you. I didn't. That cork stuff is very expensive. It's about $100 for a sheet. That's
2x4 or something.
Right. And I was like, don't
mess it up.
That's don't you know what up. And I come home, man, and she'll work all night. She worked, till she gets done, and she had that stuff. I was highly impressed.
And so let me ask you this: so like, when you met her, were you looking for her, or did you just happen to meet her?
Just happened to meet her. I was. I'm not a guy to. I'm not. God didn't put me here to be alone. I know I'm a good man. I know I treat my lady very well. I'm not one to be alone, and it's talking about my son seeing me do stuff.
Right.
I think he kind of went a different direction of, he's got a lot under his belt. He's been with a lot of women, but I've never been one to be like that.
Right.
I've always wanted to have one woman. I'll go home by myself, and it's a lot of people didn't believe that. In fact, my lady, she still didn't believe that, but I did. She was going through a tough time. She was getting a divorce from a guy who was abusive, physically abusive, and a drinker, and so she's already been on that road, and so now she knows what it's like to get treated like a lady.
And you guys are getting married this summer?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, in July.
It's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking. I've been out to the BVIs before. I tried to, and she's never really been able to afford to be able to do the things that she's done. You know, going all these trips you see us going, living life. One of my things is living life. You never know what tomorrow's gone. She's been going to get to go see all the stuff out there that I've seen, and I'm really excited.
That's awesome, man.
It'll be refreshing to see somebody experience that, you know.
Right. I
see it
mean,
through
even
their
like
eyes.
going to like Disney, Universal, you know, just things like that. It really is. It's great. You know, it's like being able with her to experience all the stuff that she's never really been able to do.
It's less things and more stuff to go do together, you know, because at
Absolutely.
the end of the day, you're going to have those memories flashing through your mind when the time is up on Earth, and you're not going to be thinking, oh, I still got to pay for this, I still got to do this.
Yep.
You're going to thinking, man, I'm glad I took the time and we went here and we went there and we did this and we did that.
That's exactly what I say all the time. I mean, if you don't do it today, tomorrow it's gone. Yeah, I've seen it too many times. You guys have seen it too many times. I mean, tomorrow, guys our age,
Yeah.
they're gone. You know, I would never want to live like that. You know, I'm thankful that I can do these things. I mean, but I've certainly busted my ass to get there.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that, man. It's just pure work ethic, and that's part of why we're here to talk to you. And what I've seen from you so far is the biggest things is you know, you're saying, hey, no matter what environment you come from, if you choose to do what you want to do and you put your nose down to the grindstone, you can get it done.
That's right. There's another gentleman that I work with. He's another testament to that. A lot of people don't like him because of his background. I'm like, man, you know, this dude, he's really doing what we should be doing. He's been in gangs. He's been on drugs. Every drug you can think of. He's all tatted up, and he turned his life over to the Lord and moved away from all that. And he goes to the ADC and brings people to the Lord.
That's great.
I mean, I would love to be able to do something like that, but they would look at me, and I've never done any drugs. You know, they'll be like, you know, you don't know what you're talking about, and I really don't. I mean, but he's been there, and he's, you know, I like that kind of stuff.
I think it's great that, you know, God kind of, he uses good examples, I'll put it that way. You know, when you think you're not good enough, you're good enough for sure, and you're that example to prove that you are. You know, and
Or he'll take the circumstances that you've been through and turn around and use them for good.
right, exactly.
That's right.
Well, like you said, I'm going to use you as an example. You said the way your mom and dad were acting when you were younger, you knew when you were young you didn't want to be like that.
That's right.
And you became the opposite. And your son saw that. He's a firefighter. He's watching you do your thing. And not just then, but now as you're getting older, you're getting married again, you have a good woman in your life. Because we always say, you know, behind every good man is a great woman. Mm-hmm. And it takes all those things and consistency to be like that, you know. And I think you're a great example. And we're thankful that you came and spoke to us today, man, because these younger guys need to see that we're all different. No matter what we do, but we might all have that same end game, that same end goal, but we all come from different backgrounds. We're all raised different. You know, we were in different environments growing up, and it doesn't really matter. What matters is what's in your heart, and what's in your mind is what dictates how you turn out.
That's right. That's right, man.
That's right.
So, like I said, man, we appreciate you coming and speaking to us today, man, and I look forward to getting on that boat again. That's an amazing boat.
I'm going to have to come check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all know y'all welcome to come.
I'd like to see you in some 5-inch, those 4-inch green marine shorts you used to wear.
Not going to happen.
I'd have to wear some sunglasses.
Something happens on every one. On every booze cruise, there's some kind of nudity. There's something that's memorable.
That's a whole lot of ginger right here. I'm not ready for that.
Not happening.
All right, man. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.